I thought I would do an extra video just explaining the hand model of the brain and also explaining the video that links with emotional regulation. So this is the model by Dan Siegel. It's been around for quite a few years and it's the hand model of the brain. Let's explain and break it down. So the wrist is your brainstem. So this is the most ancient part of your brain, and then by the age of 2, the functioning of the hippocampus and amygdala starts to develop. And then you have the prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of the brain. And that's involved in what we call executive functions. That's your decision making in terms of how you rationally address things. So what happens is if you have an extreme event, then your prefrontal cortex goes offline. And that's why you have extreme emotion, because the amygdala and hypothalamus is involved in that. And if it carries on going, like you said with polyvagal theory, you can actually go into a freeze response. So what happens is if an extreme event, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. So that's why you can't think rationally through. So what I find with lots of resilience courses in the military and in other services, they tend to use quite rational CBT type of approaches. So that's what we call a top-down approach. So what they say, they try and train you to actually use your thinking mind, models of thought. So when you have an extreme event, the CBT approaches tries to get you to engage your thinking mind by using certain frameworks. Okay, so that's quite difficult and that requires a lot of training. That can be done. That's called the top-down approach. We're using higher order thinking to control your emotions, which is your hippocampus and amygdala. What I've been showing you in the last video for military veterans and for first responders is what we call a bottom-up approach. And that is, and if you remember, we've got the vagal nerve in the brain linking the rest of the body. So what we're doing is trying to use the body to actually regulate the mind. And let's use the hand model to explain that. So the brainstem is your body. And then when you have an emotion, it actually relates to the amygdala and the hypothalamus. So if you can do something to regulate your body, down-regulate, so tell your body that you're safe, then that means your feelings of safety come on, and that means your prefrontal cortex can come online. So let's quickly recap. So the top-down approach is actually giving you frameworks to make sure that you use your thinking mind, your prefrontal cortex, to regulate your emotions. The bottom-up approach is this idea that your body, if you can do something with your body, and breath and cold water is the few things that can do it quite quickly, is that you make your body feel safe, your feelings feel safe, and then your mind comes online and feels safe. Tell me what you think.